but it's like the apartment complex, 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Everything's included except for electric. That includes gig speed internet. Garage. Nice. I'm right by a pickleball court and a basketball court and the dog park. Full gym, billiard room, theater room with 9 TVs. They have YouTube TV and NFL Sunday Ticket. So Sunday they put all the games on the TVs in the theater room. Golf sim, outdoor hot tub open year round. And my favorite thing, when you go there, they said, like my first week, I'll take my dog to the clubhouse and they're going to do a DNA swab. Because if there's piles of poop laying around, they test it. And if the DNA matches your dog, you get a $200 fine.
No, I had to do that too.
Wow.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Never heard of that.
So
that's nice. Podcast about bourbon and the ones who drink it. This is Bourbon Matters. Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Jake.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Gold Eagle Jake.
And apparently Jake won the draft.
I did.
Which we already knew that. We already knew that ahead of time.
I think we already knew. I think most people would agree that I won the draft, even though you guys said that right shit on the episode.
I said that right after the draft. I said you had the best draft after we finished it, like on the episode, I believe. I don't think that was even in post-cut. So.
And you guys laughed at me for drafting Middle West, and then a week later they buy Old Elk.
I didn't. I just said I don't like their shit. So now I'm probably not going to like Old Elk because they're shutting down the Old Elk everything out. The restaurant's already closed.
Everything's shut down.
Yeah, everything in Fort Collins is now done.
Which is crazy. Like, they had this whole plan thought out and just acted immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super surprising, especially because they have like one of the top distillers in the country with Greg Metz, on staff. So yeah, really surprising. I'm curious to wonder why they wanted to get out because.
Yeah, I think there's many different layers to this, and we're going to uncover what we can, but I think there's a lot of information that we're not going to find out until years down the road on why this happened.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the first initial thought I have, and from what I've been able to dig up a little bit is, well, one, I think Old Elk was started, we talked about Old Elk a long, long time ago, like way before Gold Eagle Jake was on. And it was started by the guys that started Otterbox. And they wanted to create this whiskey for being out at the lodge, out in the middle of the wilderness, to be able to have when they were out hunting and things. And that's where the Old Elk came from. They convinced Greg Metz to leave MGP, come out with them. And they started blending out there and creating their brand. And that's kind of what the brand was based around. I think the people that own Otterbox are kind of seeing the shift in my personal opinion, they're seeing the shift in the whiskey industry right now. And I think Middle West is kind of following in the MGP footsteps of realizing that their marketing and their brand loyalty and label loyalty aren't super strong, where Old Elk does have a pretty strong following already. They're already available in every state. They're well known in every state. And for them, it was more or less just hey, let's get this label under our roof so we can sell stuff. That's my initial thoughts of it. I'm not sure what your guys' thoughts are, but I think that people from Otterbox saw a way to make some money before if things keep going the downward trend they're on. And then Middle West is like, we talked about it a while ago, where the couple people that are going to be in the most trouble with whiskey declining are independent bottlers and then big contract producers, because there's not going to be a demand for big contract juice. And I think they both kind of saw the writing and thought this was a good time for the Old Elk guys to get out and for Middle West to pick up a brand.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Jake.
The only thing that I mean, Old Elk is a pretty well-established brand, and like I feel like a lot of people really like their products, especially like the enthusiasts, I think, because they understand the background and everything.
it's totally the enthusiasts that like this brand, and it's either a love it or hate it. And I think a lot of people that don't really understand whiskey don't like it, only because they say, "Oh, I tried one thing and I was not a fan. Like I won't try another Old Elk." And if you know Old Elk, you know every bottle they do is totally different.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of on why they would want to sell is that Greg wants to retire.
I don't think so.
Because he's probably almost 70, somewhere around there.
But
I think you're onto something there.
Dan's
a little. Well, so inside information. My sales rep from Old Elk got let go a month ago, like a month before.
A lot of sales reps got let
go. They got rid of a lot of their sales force way before this news broke. And that's when I told you guys that they got bought by Diageo, because somebody told me, oh, they're getting bought out by Diageo. They just let go of their entire sales force. And I remember us having this conversation and me looking all over the internet looking for who bought Old Elk, and you couldn't find anything about it. So this was total insider information. And yeah, obviously they did not get bought by Diageo. They got bought by Middle West, which was a total shock and out of nowhere. And most people in the country probably haven't heard of Middle West.
Yeah.
But I think, the other piece of inside information, I was told by my guy who got let go that Greg was unavailable to the staff and all employees for the last year, where he used to be very hands-on. He used to answer phone calls, answer FaceTimes. Anytime you were with a customer or a store, you could get Greg on a FaceTime and he could talk really quick and just vouch for the rep that's out there. And my rep told me, yeah, it was weird. Like, he just wasn't available. They didn't tell us why, but we just kept moving on. So I do think possibly maybe there's something going on with Greg. I don't want to speculate anything, but maybe just some personal stuff that he just kind of wants to step away, and that might have added to all of this. I mean, he's been in the industry since 1978.
Yeah.
Working with MGP. That's a long time to be tasting whiskey every day.
Well, and I think was it 20 or 30? It was between 20 and 30 years that he was the MGP master distiller, I think, wasn't it? I thought it was a really, really long time.
It was 36 years that he was master distiller.
And then he's
MGP.
been at Old Elk for the past 5, I think. Something like that.
7 or 8 since they started. 8 years.
I thought they started around 2015. I don't know if Greg was with them right when they
started.
I
mean, he's got
He was with them right from the start. They kind of brought him with.
I don't necessarily agree on that fact, though, just because no other whiskey brand out there is built around one person. And even if you just look at Blackened, there's plenty of very, very talented master distillers out there and whiskey people out there that, when Blackened, when Dave Pickerel passed, they switched over to Rob Dietrich, and there's not been too much of a change. You can find people that know exactly what they're doing, or poach people from other. I mean, they would have enough money if they wanted to go after someone like Dixon Deadman and try and get him with them, or something like that, where I don't necessarily think it's just because of Greg Mesk. I still think that, the Otterbox guys have made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. They're smart businessmen. I think they saw a way to make some money before things start to really decline. I'm not saying that they will, but it's definitely on the decline, and there's a way for them to get out and make a bunch of money and not have to worry about it. Heck,
if they were presented with the opportunity,
those guys don't need money.
Yeah, but none of those guys need money. But what do they want to do? Make more money.
But if they're seeing the writing on the wall, and then Greg comes to them and says, "I'm going to retire," then that brand is very much reliant on his skills and has
not
been
only
from the start. So I think it's a little bit of a different case than most.
I agree.
But
and not only his skills, but also his connection to MGP,
yeah,
because they're building it off of MGP. And a couple
right.
of years ago, they took all of their stock that they owned at MGP and they transferred it to Colorado. So at that point, I'm kind of assuming that they're almost separating themselves a little bit from MGP. And we started to see like some New York distillate in some of their bottles. We started to see several other states where you wouldn't think of as a distilling state being bottled as Old Elk. So I think that whole Greg leaving MGP and him taking the barrels that he wanted, I think something went a little sour there because they started to bring in a lot of other whiskey from other states in the country.
Yeah. Which, talk about a missed opportunity from MGP to just buy all that back, right?
I mean,
Like,
probably
it's like the perfect sequel to the Penelope story would be them reacquiring their entire Old Elk stock and
It would be a very
just
good
keeping
sequel.
it under the label, you know?
Yeah, I just don't know, because we talked about it too, is Middle West isn't a big conglomerate-owned company. It's a privately owned company. I don't know where their money's coming from, knowing how much they got tied up in stock that's just aging. That's going to be getting harder and harder to sell.
Yeah, but they're also...
I mean, they'll start using this for the Old Elk stuff, obviously. I mean, that's part of the reason is they can unload a lot of whiskey into Old Elk.
Yeah, but they're a top 5. I think they're like one of the biggest, behind Heaven Hill, of course, independently owned distilleries in the country. Like I would put them in top 5, 10 easily. And they also,
if I'm remembering correctly though, like Middle West isn't that, like they don't produce that much compared to.
Oh, they're very high.
They don't produce much for themselves.
Yeah,
they are
contract.
A huge contract distiller, and they did all of this silently. I mean, remember when Bardstown Bourbon Company started? Like, they started talking about, and the first thing they would tell you is how much they contract distill and how only 10% of their rickhouses are filled with Bardstown because 90% is all contract distilled. Middle West started, I believe, in 2005.
2008.
I think 2008. So they started in 2008, and nobody heard of Middle West Distillery until like 2018. So they were just contract distilling and producing for other labels and figuring out their craft until they felt ready to put out their own whiskey. So they were doing all this experimentation and playing around and learning and failing until they felt confident that they can put out their own whiskey. So this is a brand where I feel like financially they're probably doing just fine because most of their whiskey was paid for before it even hit the rickhouse.
Yeah, that's true.
Depends on the contract how it's set up. Because some of these smaller brands do they have a contract and they're not buying it and they're getting sued now. I've seen a few of those cases pop up.
Well, so still the money's going to come back whether they file for bankruptcy.
I'd say not if they go bankrupt. Because
it depends on what kind of bankruptcy, but
yeah, because as we just saw,
most of the whiskey's already sold, I would think.
But I mean, yes, that could be part of it. They could be, they could have a bunch of older whiskey that they're not going to have anything to do with, and they might want to put it into something like this. And yes, I do think it's a very smart move, just like MGP buying Penelope. Here's a new label that already has a lot of success, and it is already in, I think, all 50 states. If not, it's close to it. And then we can just start filling some.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you can get Middle West in all 50 instantly, and you can start filling some of that liquid that you have that's well aged into Old Elk bottles. And it won't really make a big difference because Old Elk is using whiskey from a lot of different states nowadays.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it's worth mentioning that I don't think any of us think this is a bad move by Middle West.
No.
It's just surprising.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a happy marriage.
I don't know. I still wonder where the money comes from because they spent a ton of money on their facility and have expanded since 2008. So
Well,
the amount of money
but
they've
it's
wrapped up in
privately
there.
bankrolled.
It's all the
privately bankrolled.
contracts.
I know,
It's all the
I still-
contract distilling.
I-
Most of that they're making all their money up front. Like
Not
Bardstown, when we
necessarily.
were there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if they're buying brands like Old Elk, that they've set up good contracts in their favor. Because
Yeah.
when we were
Well, and
when we were
just because they're contract distilling doesn't mean they're aging. Also, they're probably selling a lot of that direct to the
yeah,
the
they could
brands.
be.
Could be.
I mean, when we were at Bardstown Bourbon Company, they were telling us like literally every rickhouse they built is just funded by the last rickhouse that was filled
Right.
and fully paid for with contract distillation. So
and that's just one business model. There's a lot
that,
of different ways you can contract.
and that
distill.
is Middle West business model. They were built to be a contract distillery,
Right.
and they
That's
just
that's what they wanted to be.
yeah, they just started putting out their own whiskeys 10 years after they started, probably because they knew what they were doing, because they see all these different mash bills and grains and chars and barrels and cooperages, and why would you not? It's just like Wilderness Trail starting to make whiskey after mastering the yeast. Like, why would you not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think it's bad. It's interesting because we really haven't seen a ton of big buyouts in the last couple of years, and nothing's been disclosed in terms of what the purchase agreement was and how much it was for. Nothing like that is out there. But you know, a couple of years ago, it was very commonplace where it seemed like every other month someone was getting bought up, and there hasn't been a ton of really big buyouts. There's still been a few here and there, but it's not like it was the last 3, 4, 5 years ago. But
No, a lot of those big companies that were just scooping up every brand they could are really struggling right now. That's where the industry is really struggling, because it takes a lot of time and effort to sustain these brands and sustain these labels. And I hope Middle West isn't making a mistake by immediately letting go of all the sales force for Old Elk, because it really is the people that are out there talking about it and selling it that are building these brands and giving the brands the success and momentum that they need.
Yeah.
And I think the only bad thing that can come from this, and that I see, is this was the biggest shock to me, was Old Elk is built on like Colorado and the wilderness and just being outdoors. And that's what you think of when you think of Old Elk bourbon.
I think of that when I think of Columbus too, though.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well,
that's for them
something
to
that he said too about the whiskey aging in Colorado versus Ohio.
There is, yeah, and I mean I think shutting down. I mean, I'm sure they know what they're doing more than I do. I don't own and run distilleries, but I think shutting down all the Colorado operations was a big mistake. That's my first gut feeling. Is this is a outdoor out west Colorado built brand, and now you're going to move it to Ohio.
Yeah. My big concern is I've been a big fan of Old Elk. A lot of their whiskeys I like, but there's been I don't like the Infinity Blend at all. Some people go crazy for it. I don't like it. Years ago, we did a tasting, a bracket challenge all the way through Old Elk. If you want to go hear some of our thoughts on Old Elk from a couple of years ago, that's out there. But for the most part, I thought all their stuff was good. My concern is I wasn't overly impressed with the Middle West tasting that I did.
Yeah,
so
we talked about that a couple episodes ago.
So that's my concern about Old Elk is you don't have that story, and people are going to be more picky now on the brand, knowing that it's coming out of Columbus and not out of the West and everything they've sold for a couple of years. And I think it's going to be very hard for that brand to be thought of in the same way it has been for all this time.
Unless they just delete the brand and they just take the stock.
No, they won't do that. They won't do that. Yeah, they took Old Elk to get their name out there more. But no, I mean, we'll see.
That'd be the same as MGP buying Penelope back and getting rid of Penelope.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna defend Old Elk here or Middle West here, because I have not heard anyone else say they don't like Middle West whiskeys. Most people say they're impressed across the board.
Yeah,
I mean, that's totally cool.
I was sitting with at the table at the tasting loved it, and a lot of the people there loved it, and I personally just didn't like any of them, but it's all
I thought
right.
a couple were okay, but I didn't leave blown away by them. But you're out.
I thought the one I brought to the birthday bash last year I thought was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. I mean, anything. I hate to say this, but anything in a tube from Middle West is very good.
The only tubes worth buying.
I mean, but their cash strength whiskeys are under $60, and I think those are all great. They're priced right. If they were 80 or 90, I don't know.
All right, Dan, what's your thought?
Can we mute Dan?
You're holding something back there, Dan.
No, I'm not. I was just giving shit. It sucks. We'll see what happens to him. Hopefully this helps Middle West. Hopefully, my biggest concern is that doesn't hurt Old Elk.
I'm interested to see what we're gonna, what new products from Old Elk we're gonna see next, because Old Elk is we probably will. Old Elk is all about innovation and new releases and new finishes and new distillates and new age statements. So what are we going to start to see from Middle West? Was this something that they have, stock just waiting to go into a brand like this? Or was this, again, purely a move to get into more states and get into more bars and restaurants and placements? So I think the next couple of months are going to be very, very interesting to see how this all folds out, because again, we really haven't gotten any information to the public on the purchase price or anything. All we know is they shut down the Colorado operations and everything is being shifted to Ohio. That's all we know.
Immediately shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they don't go changing mash bills like crazy. At least keep the core product line in place.
Keep that double wheat the way it's been.
And also, who knows, because Old Elk could have been already having stuff distilled by Middle West.
Yeah.
They could have 5 years ago went to Middle West and had them start contract distilling, because they weren't gonna use MGP their whole life. They weren't, they bought a bunch of barrels from MGP, but eventually that's going to run out and they had to get their own distilling going, and they are NDP, so they can't distill themselves. They have to buy from a distiller. So yeah, who knows? Middle West could have already been distilling and producing for Old Elk, and we just haven't seen anything get bottled yet.
I can't see your face, Jake. There's something in the way.
I know, it's my cat. He wants to say hi.
The one Gold Eagle pick I pulled down was from New York, so
I was gonna say that's gonna be
that's the 8 year.
Yeah,
that's gonna be the tougher thing for you guys, because you guys have always done extremely well on Old Elk barrel picks with it selling out so quickly.
I mean, we have, but who knows? I mean, we'll see what's going to come from that. I mean, I would think like they're going to have some unique things, some different things, but I don't think the wheated bourbon will taste like it is now. And we do have, I think, 8 cases left of our wheated bourbon pick, the 9 year, which is kind of surprising to me because all the other ones sold out within a day or two. This is our 5th pick from them, and it's older and less expensive than our last couple of picks.
Nice. Well, yeah, we'll see what unfolds out of that.
Yeah. Oh, the only other thing I wanted to throw in there was, I was looking for any supplemental news, talking about some of the struggles in the industry on, big brands. I saw that Stoli filed for bankruptcy, I think in April. I think it was April. Along with
I think that
a lot of other whiskey brands have been filing for bankruptcy this year, which is
Devil's River was a little surprising, only because they're such a new brand and they were having success with like 2-year bourbon. Yeah. So where are you spending money on that you are losing that much money that you need to file for bankruptcy?
That was
I think
Roberto's like favorite hangout spot.
No, really, his favorite. He went there once.
He talked about it all the time. So
He talked to the owner's son a lot because I think his owner's son's a drunk.
Huh. But yeah,
Speculation.
Stoli, that's not a surprise. I mean, ever since the whole Kentucky Owl thing, I think we all saw that coming.
yeah, there was a couple other ones too. Now I can't find the article, of course.
Oh. That was first topic. What do we have anything else to talk about today?
Well, Dan, you went to High West, which I heard is a pretty cool place. I mean, somebody in our draft drafted them because the distillery is such a cool place to visit, and they ended up winning the draft.
It is, and if we go back to when we were going to do our own distillery, the one that probably the distillery most comparable to the one I wanted to open in the United States is High West. It's a couple things. So I went to the High West Saloon. It's spring, so none of the ski hills are open, but the High West Saloon downtown Park City is the one you can ski into. The distillery is about.
I've done it.
The distillery is about 15 miles outside of Park City, but it's on a very very large ranch called Blue Sky Ranch, and everything about this distillery from the other ones I've been to is pretty damn unique. So you can go try their stuff downtown. Obviously, Utah has different. They do some distilling downtown yet, not a ton, but they still do some distilling downtown. They built this massive distillery out kind of in the middle of nowhere. When you drive there, you basically drive through a small residential area, and then you're on a dead-end road for about 3 miles through a nature preserve that just kind of ends at a guard shack in a covered bridge setting. You go through there. Bus will take you up a long, windy road through the ranch. A lot of horses, a lot of horse buildings. Up to a beautiful distillery, which they had basically, I don't even think they had finished building that distillery before Constellation bought them out.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, the fact that they had all this money in this massive distillery, and I don't think they were even opened up there yet before they got bought out. But
they were killing it really early on.
Yeah,
they were killing it before they got bought.
Yeah, before they had like maybe 4 or 5 different SKUs that they were putting out.
That you can see pretty
now
easily.
they have like 15.
Well, that was back when Midwinter was $69.99 on the shelf, and that was back when Campfire and Boo Rye and Rendezvous were all year-round releases. You could go pick them up anytime. Yeah. And now all those are double, if not tripled, and only come out once a year, and people still go crazy for them. I mean, you got to give them some props because they did do well with their marketing. People want what they can't have, so instead of having those whiskeys on the shelf all the time, they made them seasonal, and now anytime they come out, people are like, oh, I got to get this. I got to grab it.
I will say I do like the Boo Rye, but not at $70 or whatever the retail is on.
No. The retail is like $180 now.
That's insane.
No,
yes.
Boo Rye. Is it?
That's
like
ridiculous.
All right, I'm going to look right now.
I swear
no, it used to be like $40, wasn't it?
Oh, it used to be like 60, I think $59.99, and it was available year round. I mean, we just got the latest release in.
125, okay. 125 is from...
Yeah, 120. So we just got the latest release in. We were selling it at MSRP $119.99, and it sold out immediately. I think we went through like 40 bottles within minutes every time they got in stock.
Yeah,
it's nuts. Which, on a quick side note, I've been seeing more and more bourbon rye blends coming out. I think it's just interesting.
They were one
of the first one.
Yeah.
If you like Boo Rye, do yourself a favor and go buy 3 bottles of the Knob Creek Bourbon and Rye for the same price, and I guarantee you that is much better than the Boo Rye.
I mean, give
Woodford
them
is
credit
supposedly coming out with one too.
Most people didn't talk about it. There was around, but they did a very big marketing campaign around Boo Rye with their little jackalope or whatever they have on it as the character for the label. And you've seen a lot more come out, and a lot of it's because of High West. If you get a chance to go out there, Distillery is beautiful. It's way up in the hills on the east side of the Big Rocky Mountain Range, or the Wasatch Mountains in Utah. It's very hilly country out there, very beautiful. Distillery, tasting room, everything is really. They've done a very good job building that out. Food was phenomenal. I had some pork belly tacos in the restaurant for lunch. Did a really good job. The tour guide that we had been there for 7 years and started out in the bottling line, and that was like barrel logistics. And younger kid just enjoys giving tours. But very knowledgeable tour guide. They got a brewery there as well too, so they do a lot of beer brewing.
It's kind of like when you got demoted to tour guide.
You say that. However, all of the best reviews for tours were when I had to give tours for special groups, and they all talked about how great of a tour guide I was. So go fuck yourself.
The special groups.
Yeah. The ones that really wanted to ask nerdy questions, I was able to handle still. And my bad jokes were really good, apparently. But no, really cool place to go visit. It's unlike a lot of the distilleries you see just because of the setting that it's in.
Yeah.
I wish
another, like that's why Old Elk was cool.
But they're built very similar to that. I mean, it's our bus driver that took us up the hill, old rancher named Mr. Bill, and old 70-some-year-old thin guy, big cowboy hat. Had it afterwards. He just threw it behind him for tips. Mr. Bill, great guy. Slow down talker. I mean, that's their brand, and they do a very good job with it. They made the distillery match their brand. Beautiful campus. I paid extra to do the high-end tasting.
What did they pour you?
So started off with single malt, and then their bib, which are the only two, bib bourbon, which are the only two that they do. That's all their own juice. And the bib bourbon, fine. A little high price, but fine, easy drinker at 100 proof. And then we had...
I did like their, what's the name of the single malt?
The High Country.
High Country? Yeah, I did like their single malt.
Yeah, it was fine. It was a little cereal-y for me. But let me find my picture, because I can't remember what the third one was.
Midwinter.
No, the fourth one was Midwinter. And it was Act 11 Midwinter, so it wasn't even last year's Midwinter, which I thought was weird. It was the Boo Rye. Yeah, so it was...
11 was the one we did on the show, right?
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago.
No, we did 10 on the show. We did 10
was
on the
10?
show.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it was High Country, the Bib Bourbon, then the Boo Rye, then Midwinter's Dram, and then the Prisoner's Share, which is a red wine finish. And I didn't know what we were all going to be trying. And my dad, when I was out in Utah with my dad, and they got a place out, or they got a timeshare out in Park City they go to all the time. And he wanted to go. There's a pretty famous high-end resort out there called St. Regis. And he wanted to go. They got like this tram that goes straight up the hill to bar and beautiful lookout point and everything. And very classy, nice bar. And was talking to the guy, sat down and didn't ask prices. Like, just figured it was going to be expensive, so bit the bullet. Hindsight, should have. Because I sat down and they had an okay whiskey selection, and then I'm like, what old Fitz batch is that? And it was the recent 9-year. So I had to pour that. And then we were talking about midwinter stuff, and he asked me if I wanted to pour the Prisoner's Share, which it's seasonal release. It's not a very large release. I don't know if Illinois will get any. It sounds like it's
we got 3 bottles.
Right?
Last time.
I don't think it was last year. I think it was 2 years ago. We got 3 bottles, and they're retailed $250.
Yeah, their MSRP out there is $180. I think that's going to like 5 or 6 states.
What's the winery that they're partnered with on that?
He didn't tell
me. It's the Prisoner wine,
which isn't even expensive wine, right?
No, it's not. But it's like got a cult following.
Yeah.
It's actually like shit wine now. It used to be really good, and now it's like 90% sourced and 10% their own grapes.
Yeah. I wish I would have known that I was going to be tasting that the next day, because instead I paid $80-some for a pour up on this beautiful bar. That's way high end. I spent My dad got a $24 old fashioned,
Jesus.
which was the second
Made
$24.
with what?
The second $24
Which is-
old fashioned that he got out in Park City,
Which
which is
is
Park City though.
not
That's
too
Park-
crazy. Yeah, if you're at a high-end bar that you had to take a little tram up to, like, that's not too crazy.
Well,
Park
it's part
City's
of
expensive.
It's part of a resort, but yeah, Park
Yeah.
City.
What
there's-
bourbon was it?
I didn't forget what they mixed in.
Probably Bullet.
No,
That's-
Park
better
Park City is expensive.
yeah, because we
Better
went.
be Taylor or Blanton's or
No,
something for $24.
So, I'll find it. But there's
You
another
could go
small.
buy all of the ingredients to make that old fashioned for less than $24 and probably make a better one.
Yeah, they.
That's the ambiance.
There's another distillery in downtown Park City, but they had like a lounge. My dad's like, we should have a drink there, and it's like I forget what it's called, but I forget the name of the distillery, and I forget the name of the lounge. But like you walk in, it's like the soft purple and blue lights, and it was like a very hoity-toity, like just like I forget what they called it, but it was like some
High
stupid
class joint.
Yeah, and he had a $24 cocktail there, and I was paying for all the cocktails. So we had that, and then we had one at St. Regis, but I'll find out what was in it. But I spent, between his cocktail and my 2 pours of Old Fitz 9-year and the Prisoner Share, I spent $220 plus tip. So, but yeah, don't do that. But the next day we had Prisoner Share. But I will say, I'm not a big barrel finish guy. It's a red wine barrel finish. Very, very good. If it's $225, I don't think it's worth it. I think at $180, it's not bad considering it's. I mean, if you're just going based off rarity of it, but I was pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. The price point is just so.
But that's mid
jarring.
range. But I mean, a lot of what they're doing is they're selling to the people that go to Park City.
Yeah.
Park City is a very expensive ski town, and it's
Yeah.
not getting any cheaper. So, yeah, if you're ever out that way, I totally recommend going to High West. It's a beautiful distillery, one like you're not going to see in a lot of places. But it was definitely worth it. Hold on, cocktail list. It was. Oh no, he didn't go with that. I forget what he went with. He went with something else.
A whiskey cocktail, or
Yeah, they don't even have it on this menu. So
a Gold Rush?
no,
That would be fitting for out there.
yeah, it would be. No, they don't even have it on their menu right now. I forget where we found it, but yeah, you go out there. St. Regis is a cool place to drink, but it's very expensive.
I'm just gonna back you up, Dan. The distillery is absolutely beautiful. It's the reason why I picked it for my draft. I went there to snowboard a couple years ago, and it really is ski in, ski out. They have a lift that was built just for the distillery that takes you right from the base of the distillery to the top of the ski hill, and it's a gorgeous resort. I didn't even know that
not the
High
big
West was
distillery.
there when I got there, and it was somebody on the lift that was just like, "Oh yeah, if you take this over to there." Yeah, the downtown saloon. But they're like, if you take this lift and go on this hill and over to there, you can go to High West Distillery. And I was like, all right, done. That's where I'm going right now. And then,
And that was so. We were there on a Friday night, and we're there in spring season, so it's past ski season, it's past snowboard season. It's not summer season yet. It's still pretty cool. And the saloon was about half packed on a Friday night when we were there at about 6. The distillery wasn't very full Saturday morning, but we got there at 10:30. There wasn't much of a lunch crowd there, but very, very beautiful. The big distillery is very beautiful and worth the trip. And I think they do have shuttles from Park City to the distillery. I could be wrong, but if you're out that area, it's worth a view. It's different. Like I said, you're out in the mountains. I mean, you get some of the places out there in the hillier parts of Kentucky, and that doesn't hold a candle to the mountain terrain that you're on out there in Park City. So, but I guess with that being said, something else that I didn't tell you guys I was going to mention. I'm not going to give all the full details out. We've talked. Obviously, I'm moving. Going to be sooner than I expected. I will say
Dan is
that
now a distiller for High West.
No. They ain't gonna pay me the money you need to live out that area. Trust me, I asked. I'm going to be moving out to Utah. Before I go, I am going to be having a little going away party at Whiskey Acres here in DeKalb. So if you've ever wanted to get out down to DeKalb to Whiskey Acres, it'll be June 14th, 2 to 6 or 7. We'll be hanging out there. I'm not sure if you guys are going to make it yet or not. But there's a couple.
I don't know because you're just telling me about it. So
I sent you an invitation on Facebook, asshole.
I never check Facebook.
I'm planning on going.
There is also, so not only is that one of the few weekends that work for me, it's also the weekend of a new release that they've never done before. I'm guessing that they might have enough.
Ooh, I know what
this
this
stuff
is.
on Saturday too. So there will be a new release at Whiskey Acres. So if you're looking for an excuse to get down, I think your wife RSVP'd that she was going, Jake. So I'm pretty sure that you're.
You probably only sent it to her because you think we're just one person.
Well, you're in my phone as Jake Generay, so. But no, if you want to swing down, I don't care if you do it or not. I don't like you guys anyways. Not Jake and Jake listeners. I don't care about.
Just take this one opportunity to see Dan face to face and talk.
Tell him
shit
I'm a
to
shitty
him.
person. I'm fine with it. I'm hoping a whole bunch of people to tell me to get the fuck away from here too. When I
come on out, have some fun.
Good place
I'll
to go.
be there.
People out there.
I do think it's a very good excuse to get to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
lots of people have never been, so this is your time.
Like I said,
go out there, hang out with us.
This will be coming out on Sunday. I think shortly after, a couple days after, is when they're probably going to release what they're going to be putting out. I haven't tried the final blend of it, but I tried it before they put a couple more barrels into it. I'm glad that they decided to drop. They were going to drop the 7-year at that time, and they decided to swap it to this new blend. And I'm glad that they did because I'm glad I'll get to take a bottle out to Utah with me. So,
nice. So what? 57 bottles you got to move?
I'm down. So I just cashed out before we started the episode. Elijah 18. I'm down to 59. When I moved down here 2 years ago, I had 74, which is like you only drank 20 bottles. I bought some more along the lines. But down to 59. I'll finish another one, 58, but that'll put me back up to 59 bottles. I got to move out to Utah. So I'm not going to have a kitchen in my house or a dining area in my house. The dining area is going to be the whiskey room. It's already been decided. It's a bachelor pad. Who gives a shit? So,
yeah, you're not hosting people.
No. There's a massive clubhouse that I can use at my apartment complex. Why would I have people cram into my little...
That second bedroom, little speakeasy action in there.
That's my office. So...
exactly.
Yeah. But no, so if you're looking
Dan's
for...
not cool enough to put the whiskey in his office like me. So.
I won't have enough room. That second bedroom is not very large. But I was thinking about it, but it wouldn't be the whole collection. So, no, if you're looking for an excuse to get down to Whiskey Acres, June 14th, anytime after 2 o'clock, we should all be there. If Jake R's not there, his wife will be there, which she's more fun anyways. So maybe she'll leave you at home with a kid. That would be preferable. That would be preferable. But Gold Eagle Jake will be there. So come on down, see us.
I'll be
buy
there.
a good bottle of Whiskey Acres stuff. I might do a special tour. We'll see. We haven't talked about anything yet, but I'll surprise Nick with something. So, but yeah, that's what we have.
Peer pressure Dan into doing some barrel pulls for you.
They ain't gonna let me do that anymore. I don't have the keys to the brick houses anymore. But no, hopefully we'll see somebody down there. If not, I don't give a shit. So, Jake, if people want to try some of the Middle West stuff, buy some Old Elk stuff before it changes all over to Middle West,
And get shitty.
or try some very expensive High West product, where can they try that?
You guys already know.
Oh,
you
God,
can go to goldeaglewine.com. Visit us in Libertyville at 255 Peterson Road. I'll throw out a little coupon code for our Old Elk 9-year weeded barrel pick because we don't know if we're going to be able to do another one of those. BM Elk for 10% off our 9-year weeded Old Elk pick. yeah, follow us on Instagram at Gold Eagle Wine. Follow us on Facebook at Gold Eagle Spirits. That coupon code is good only for online purchases on our 9-year weeded Old Elk pick. Back to you.
And Jake, where can people find out more stuff about us? Probably even see a post about we'll probably throw a post about Dan's getting the hell out of here on the Instagram to remind people that if they want to come out for see Whiskey Acres and see me one more time before I leave.
I'm sure someone who
not everyone
manages
came up
the
and said
account.
hi. Most people didn't come up and say hi to me at the Lake County Whiskey Club birthday bash. So kind of
it was fine. No one said
you were not there.
No,
I was a little surprised.
Yeah.
This is how parents preserve the
Yeah, you can check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Bourbon Matters. Listen to us on Spotify, Google, Apple, or any other podcast platform. Watch us on Spotify and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, share, rate, follow, click the notification bell, leave comments. We like listener questions and prompts and things like that. So tell us what you guys think about the Old Elk buyout from Middle West.
Or if you've tried any of the really expensive Middle West products and think they're worth the price, we will debate you on that. So,
or how happy are you that Dan's leaving? That's also a good thing to comment.
That's leaving the state, not the podcast, unfortunately for everybody out there.
Yeah, we're not that lucky.
So, all right, guys, cheers.